to the Upshot, Multi-World Disc Golf's podcast about the latest in the disc golf worlds. I'm the editor, Charlie Eisenhood. Joining me is Josh Mansfield. Just another day, Tuesday, November 5th. We're back on a normal schedule. Nothing much to see here. Just another week.
You know, only the perhaps most important day, second only to the Super Bowl of America. That's all. No big deal. Do you vote day of, Charlie, or do you early vote?
You know, I was going to vote day of.
Okay.
But then I was out on a walk with Liz and Lewis, and Liz wanted to vote. And I was like, you know what, I'm just here. I'll just vote. It's fine. So I voted early this year. But I might go walk around and just like see the people in the neighborhood today.
I have not voted on election day in this will be my 9th year that I've been allowed to vote, and I have not voted on election day in 8.
And I haven't voted in 12 years.
You haven't?
No, I'm
Oh.
I'm making a voter fraud joke, Josh.
Oh, got it. My bad. I was Charlie, you were about to get reamed for not having voted in 12 years. Whatever you believe, go vote. Go vote. It's good. Go exercise your right to democracy.
Listen, we're not going to talk about politics today. It's the last thing anybody wants to hear on this podcast. Maybe later we'll pop in Discord and chat about it with subscribers. If there's people who want to do that, we could do that. But
I will be watching Steve Kornacki.
I'm going to be locked in tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
we'll be up.
Locked
so
in. I'm
send us a message in Discord. We'll hang out.
I'm going to watch. I have CNN up. You know, I need the fake news media to keep me going. All right.
That's right.
All right. So we're not going to do election talk here beyond what we've already done. What we are going to do is something just fun. This is not if you are here listening to this podcast today, it is because you do not want to be engaging with all of the election stuff and the stress for many folks. So we are going to do our own little elections, mini elections in fun disc golf categories. So we're going to rank our top 5 things across various categories and hopefully just have some fun with it. So we talked about doing 2 candidate options, but it seemed a little too limiting. So we're going to do top 5s, ranked choice voting. Other countries do this. And
that's on the ballot for Idaho today.
Ranked choice voting?
It is.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting. How many choices would you have on your ballot?
4. It would be a top 4 election.
Well, it sounds like we got to scrap our 5th category. No, it's too late now. We're doing top 5. And so let's dive right in. Josh and I each got assigned a number of categories before the start of the show. And I will pick one for you to begin with, Josh.
Okay, sounds good.
Let's jump right in with if you could only have one disc for the rest of your life, you only got one. And you can interpret that how you want. But this is not a single round with one disc. Mm-hmm. This is that you only get one disc. What are your top 5?
So I started filling this out, and then you clarified that this is you only get one for the rest of your life, and my list changed. Because I was going to pick some of the old classics that people pick for one disc rounds. And then I made it deeply personal and picked only discs that are in my bag because I just refused to lie about this on air. So in the 5 spot for me, it's the only driver. And I debated not even putting it on here because listen, drivers are going to be the most, the least useful if you only get one disc, but in the spirit of trying to include a driver, no, definitely. Putting with a driver is much harder than throwing a putter. So I decided to include one driver, and that would be an Exodus, which is the old Innova Eagle L mold. So a little bit straighter. A lot of people say it flies pretty comparable to an FD more than an Eagle. Especially, mine is understable at this point. It is a little bit smaller rim. A fresh one would probably be pretty stable. My beat up one has some understability to it. It's a nice all around good fairway driver. So that's the only driver that makes this list. In the 4 spot, good old faithful. I'm putting a Berg in here.
Okay.
This probably is not the right choice, but I love throwing my Berg, and I just couldn't imagine not having one. So Berg gets the 4 spot here. It would limit my distance greatly, but would at least be a good time. In the 3 spot is, and this is where, like, if you told me these are truly the only one I get, I would think I'd be more okay. The 3 spot would be a Rico, which is what I putt with right now. It's a little bit. I used to putt with links, the Discmania links, and the Ricos are a little bit more rounded, a little bit more shallow. They come in all varieties of plastics that you could throw and putt with. I think they're great. And I like picking your putting putter as your one disc for the rest of your life, I think is always a safe bet.
Safe choice. Very
Right.
safe choice.
Yes. I've putted with
I don't
these
think
for
I would
3
choose
years
it for
now.
me as my number one. But
You putt with the Judge, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. Would that be on your Judge?
It would be
on
in my
your
top
list.
5.
Okay, but not your number one.
Correct.
Okay, also not my number one. In the 2 spot, I think this is going to be the most popular answer. I've got the Buzz. Countless options.
Classic.
Putting with a Buzz is acceptable. Like, it goes further than a mid-range has any business going. It's nice and straight. It's perfect. Buzz easy gets the 2 spot, but number 1 for me,
We all know.
you all know, it's the Infinite Discs Tomb. It's the best throwing putter out there. I could putt with it if I needed to. The only thing, and I have said this, I've commented on the Instagram, I've messaged Infinite Discs, I will continue to harass them. I want a soft baseline tomb. Their D blend is just too slick. It's too hard for me. I want like an Electron soft level of a tomb. So there's my request. I'm putting it on all mediums possible. The tomb would be the perfect disc if they made those.
They don't make
So.
like a DX tomb.
Well, that's a DX, but DX I don't like. DX is too hard for me.
Oh, you want something even softer than that.
Yes, I have a DX. I have the DX tomb in my bag. That DX tomb is 6 years old at this point,
Uh-huh.
and I refuse to swap it because it's finally to a point I feel like I can hold it. And because you got to remember, I play in the snow. Like
Yeah, that's fair point.
Those discs are so slick, and so I want like an Electron soft, super soft plastic in the tomb.
There you go.
So
What's the softest Innova plastic?
probably like the Halo Star. They have G
Maybe.
Star, which is like or G Blend or whatever, which isn't
There's
bad.
the R Pro, right?
There is the R Pro. They don't make the tomb in the R Pro though.
They should make the tomb in an R Pro.
They should make the tomb in the R Pro.
There you go.
There's
Listen,
my plug.
People
I'll plug it
complained
everywhere.
about Halo Polecat for long enough. They got the Halo Polecat.
That's
You've
right.
just started them. You've started the movement.
Anyone who wants to help out, please.
All right. A great list for me. I'm not going to give you my full list, but I will give you my number one. It's a Buzz.
It's a Buzz.
It's
Yeah.
a Buzz.
It's a Buzz.
It's probably the GOAT disc.
It probably is.
For me, it's the GOAT disc. I think even some people at Innova might be like,
It's the Buzz. It's the Buzz. Can I submit my answer
It's the
anonymously?
best
Because it's a Buzz.
all right, Josh, what do you want me to go with?
Yeah, all right, I want to see, Charlie, active players who you think have a career in commentary after they retire.
Okay, but presumably not current commentators.
Correct.
of
We're excluding
note.
Sexton. We're excluding Germ.
Okay.
We're
I will
excluding you.
allow people who have done like a guest spot here and there or something like that.
on some post pro.
But no
Yes.
no too hot geese, no
Yeah,
big
correct.
sexy berry, none of that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. That was
All right. You got it. Here we go. Number 5. I'm going with this one is a little bit I don't know if people are going to vibe with me on this, but
Okay.
hear me out. Chris Clemens. Okay.
okay.
I have never heard Chris Clemens do commentary.
Okay. Has he ever? I don't know if
I don't
he
know.
has. Okay. All right. All right.
But here is why I say hear me out.
okay.
Chris is a vocal social media communicator among
That's
pros.
true.
One of the top
Yep.
of like engaging with discussion on the internet.
Mhm.
And I feel like he has interesting takes and like has opinions. And he also, as a lefty player, I think would bring a different element to analysis. Now, obviously, Brian Earhart is already kind of filling that role as like someone who understands the game at a high level and also is a lefty. But I think Clemens, has all of the he's got a high enough skill level to be taken very seriously as a color commentator, but then also has the opinions. Now, whether he could talk effectively on the air, I do not know. That is a question mark, but I'm going with him because I think that I've seen the requisite willingness to give an opinion, because I think sometimes that is something that holds people back, is that they won't say what they really think, or they're afraid of hurting feelings or something like that. And you can't have that.
You can't have that.
Number 4 on my list, Kona Montgomery.
Great pick.
What more needs to be said? Kona could do it right now.
She does her podcast well. Yeah.
I just think she has the right level of media training and, friendliness, and skill, and like legitimate tour experience to be really good at it.
Yeah.
And I mean, if it were me, if I was Kona, I would be thinking about that opportunity. Especially because I still think we are missing, especially in the live disc golf side, we are missing enough female top color commentators.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that she could do it. There's a lot of dudes who are willing to do it and are doing it right now. But there aren't as many women, and especially who are like, closer to the game of today,
Yeah. Yep.
Number 3, this will also be controversial. Gannon Buhr. So hang on.
Does his mic shut off after 30 seconds? Sorry.
He has to take a timeout to continue his point. Here's the thing. I don't think he would be ready for it today.
Okay. All right.
He needs some more he needs to work on his media overall ability to kind of like be on camera and do all those things. But you cannot deny that he already has, at a very young age, a high level of analytical ability and interest in sitting and talking about the strategy part of the game and decision making. And I mean, obviously, he's already won so much that even if he like had a life, career-ending injury, that he would be able to essentially, he could just become a media figure and talk about disc golf. I think in 10 or 15 years, or whenever he, hangs him up, could be 20 years, he is going to be regarded as one of the greatest players of all time, if not number one ever. And if you are that, you are almost automatically going to be given a shot at commentating. See Tom Brady in the NFL.
Yeah.
And like, Brady's fine. I think Gannon already has shown that he can be more interesting than that.
I think so too.
Number 2, Holland Handley.
Okay, yeah.
Just has it.
Has it. That's another great pick.
Absolutely has it. Has the right voice, has the right understanding of the game, has
previous sports experience.
100%. Like, it all lines up. She could do it today. She could stop playing and she could start commentating and she would be great right away. I think, when someone's a really good teacher, which she is, I think it almost automatically is going to make them a good commentator if they can capture that same willingness to kind of teach the audience. And that's why I think Holland would be really good at it. Number 1 on my list, in some ways it's kind of crazy that he's not already commentating, Simon Lizotte. People love him.
Yep.
He is incredibly charismatic, and all he would have to do is be himself on the air. I think there would be some things that he would need to practice and get better at in terms of like being a polished professional commentator versus like vlogging. They are distinct. But I think he would just already have a lot of trust as somebody who could do it well. And people would be excited to hear what he had to say. And I think he would bring great energy to the broadcasts. To be clear, I'm thinking about all of this in the context of live broadcasts. I mean, Jomez is its own beast. I think many of these people could be good at that too. I think there's a wider group of people who could handle that format versus live.
Agreed.
So that's my top 5.
I have one mention that I don't know who I'd bump or where I'd put it. My honorable mention, friend of the pod, Casey White.
It's funny. I thought about Casey.
I think his vlogs, and he'd have to make the same transition as Simon does, but his vlogs are ones that I think show a level of comfort in front of the camera that exceeds most of his peers.
And he's very talkative.
Mm-hmm.
You need that. Especially to sit on there in the air and do it for 4 hours.
4 hours. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think he could be good, for sure. He'd be somebody who would be like, it's not obvious because, he's not like one of the top players on tour.
Right.
But that's not really the group that you want to look at. Like, I look at those top players, and a lot of them are not going to be suited for it.
I think he's also, of this list, is probably the most who could probably do the best at just being the play-by-play. I don't think you have to put Casey in the color, where I think the rest of these would thrive.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
little training.
We don't generally see top athletes become play-by-plays in other sports, but that's more because of the way that it has been in the past. It doesn't have to be that way in the future.
Right.
All right, Josh, I want to hear your top tournament snacks. Go.
Okay, I feel very strongly about this. I have a snack, and then we'll get to number 1. I am known. I always have these with me when I go to tournaments, and I give them out to people on my card, so I always bring extra. And number 5, this is the lunch. I couldn't think of a number 5 really, but my number 5 is kind of my lunch choice. That's just a sandwich. There is nothing better than a midday sandwich. And you can change it up, whatever you're feeling in the mood. But that sandwich hits harder than just about any other food at that point. So that's my number 5 spot. And my number 4 spot, breakfast, always a smoothie. I like to grab it, make it, drink it while I'm driving to the tournament. So smoothie is always my go-to for breakfast. And again, snack, I don't know, but it's for my tournament. So. That gets the nod there. Now we're getting into true snacks. You will always find these in my bag during a tournament. Number 3, Cliff bars. Those granola bars, like protein energy bars. I don't know what you want to call them, right? They're a little distinct from a normal granola bar. The white chocolate macadamia nut in particular.
I've never had that one.
It's so good. That is the one that is always in my bag when I go to tournaments. I always have one with me.
Yeah, that's immediate 250 calories.
Exactly.
And it takes 2 minutes to eat.
I always eat it at whole 9 on grueling rounds or on hard courses because I just know I'm gonna need the extra energy.
You got to have some easy to eat calories.
Yep. So that's what that represents. Number 2, I am a sunflower fiend. I eat so many sunflower seeds.
Do you go plain or seasoned?
Oh, always seasoned. I change up variety. So they make
dill pickle.
Dill pickle, barbecue, cracked pepper. I rotate between those 3. I buy the full pound bag.
You don't go
Spitz.
ranch?
Spitz doesn't have ranch. I only eat Spitz. Yeah, Dave's, Biggs, those things are garbage. Don't eat those. I only eat Spitz, and I always buy the gallon bags, and I always have a bag with me, sometimes 2. I like because it keeps me entertained and keeps my mind off the round, and that is that's another nice little benefit. Last thing, though, this is the one that's always in the bag for tournaments. One time, I was sitting on a particularly difficult round, and someone looks over at me, and he reaches out a bag, and he's like, "Do you want some Bogey Bears?" And I was like, "Bogey Bears? What the heck are you talking about?" And he said, "Every time I take a bogey, I eat 4 gummy bears. And so they're my Bogey Bears, and that's how I reset after a bogey." And I was like, that was the smartest thing I've ever seen in a disc golf tournament. So I now carry peach rings that are my Bogey Bears. And anytime I take a bogey, I grab a couple peach rings.
Josh, you must be eating a lot of peach rings.
Hey, that was uncalled for, sir. That was uncalled for. I buy them in bulk. I don't know if you guys have Winco over there. But do you buy
Winco? No. Is that a grocery store?
It's a grocery store. It's a grocery store that has a huge bulk section. So you take a bag and just fill up.
You could get nuts, or you can get
nuts, pasta, flour,
dry goods,
candy, candy is also
candy
on there.
barrels.
So
Yeah, sure.
I go buy big things of peach rings.
Okay.
And then take small Ziploc bags of them to tournaments. So there's my top 5
Love it.
tournament snacks.
Love it.
What's the one that goes on your list?
Well, in the more like getting ready for the tournament zone, bacon, egg, and cheese.
Nice. Okay.
Bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel. I mean, if I'm from New York, that has to be on my list.
Okay.
In tournament snack, I really like having like Ritz and like little charcuterie, like some salamis and cheeses.
Yeah.
That's I take that on ski lift with me. I take that in the disc golf tournament with me. That's just like a really nice, like, it's not quite a meal, but it's a little more substantial than your typical carby snacks.
Peach rings.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love a gummy.
Sure.
I love a gummy. Also, chocolate covered almonds.
Okay. I'm not a huge chocolate guy, so
oh my God. Let's move on. Come on. What are we doing here?
Almonds are good though.
Okay.
All right, your next category.
Well, you tell me.
I know. I'm trying to pick which one I want to see. All right, I'm going to give you. This is one that we kind of talk about a lot. Cities that you wish could host a pro tour event, and by that I mean like, imagine you could just like materialize a pro tour level course in any city of your choice for that weekend.
Sure. I don't have to have a course worthy of playing on. Yeah. Okay.
No, you do not.
Great. Here's my list. Number 5. Portland, Maine.
Okay.
Maine deserves, and I get it, right? It would be a little heavy in the Northeast to be doing Upper Vermont, Central Mass, and Portland, Maine. Like, it's unnecessary. But Maine is one of the best disc golf states. They got 1 million courses. There's all kinds of energy. It would be a bad place from a pro tour strategy standpoint, but I think it would be really cool, like maybe not every year, but sometimes to have, it doesn't even have to be in Portland proper, in Maine, right? Put it at Acadia for all I care. Like, it would just be really cool to have a Maine tournament. You could call it the Lobster Fest or something like that. And, the people selling, they're handing out lobster rolls at the turn for the players. And
gosh, it sounds great.
Yeah. I just think it would be like a fun thing, and it would like celebrate a great disc golf community that otherwise gets largely overlooked by the tour.
Yeah. Lobster rolls would instantly be elevated to number 1 on my top tournament snacks if I got those during a tournament, just to be clear.
I never eat lobster rolls, but I did go to Maine during COVID to go to Acadia, and I just ate so many lobster rolls. They're very good.
They're so good.
They're very good. And like they're still expensive, but it's like more reasonable to buy them in Maine.
Right.
How far is it from Portland, Maine to Smuggler's Notch, do you think? Just if you had to guess.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm going to say sub 5 hours.
That is correct. It's a little over 4 hours.
Okay.
So it's like, it's not that close. They're obviously, if you're in Portland specifically, you're much closer to going to MVP.
I mean, we currently have players drive from like Texas to
the drive is no big deal. I'm talking about for fans.
Okay.
But the people who live in who live in that like north of Maine and Canada, and anybody who lives in more like northern or central Maine, it's like far to get down to those other tournaments. So like you could have the people from Quebec City and from like Nova Scotia coming out. And there's there's already some cool tournaments that are not on the tour that are like in that part of the country / continent. And that's very cool.
Okay,
all right.
Cool.
Now we get into the ones who, where I'm like, yes. Number 4, Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
We need a like rock solid mid-Atlantic event.
Yeah.
And I think, having Virginia this year was nice, but we're still missing the New York metro area, Jersey, Delaware, Maryland. Like Maryland can go to Virginia, but like this part of the country is not quite getting served. Yeah. And so New York, New Jersey, Philly, like the rest of Eastern Pennsylvania, that's a winning choice.
That's a good choice.
I would love to see that.
I would not have thought to put Philadelphia on my list, so I'm glad you're doing this category because it's a great pick.
Number 3 for the vibes, Miami. Could you even come up with a good disc golf course down there in the flats? You'd have the alligator hole. Throw over the water. Don't retrieve your disc. But it would just be fun to have a tournament in Miami, and the players would have fun with it. It would be like party scene. They could do the All-Star weekend there or something. We're already making progress into Florida, but now we got to go to the best
part
of Florida.
Yeah, agreed.
Number 2. You know what? Oh, I'm changing it up. I'm making a last minute change. Number 2, Salt Lake City. Mountain West, deeply deprived. This is the spot. It's the population center where there is legitimate disc golf already there. It's easy to get to. You can easily fly. You can get to the mountains, no problem. And this is, again, a massively underserved part of the country when it comes to tour events. We need a legitimate mountain course. Salt Lake is the place to get it. We could do it today. It could happen right now. We already know that
this one has
Utah
courses.
Worlds was a tremendous success. I know there were all the problems and this and that and the drama, but ultimately we haven't had a better Worlds in the last 10 years, and the fans came out big.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't even in Salt Lake. So Salt Lake City. Number 1, though, and I just made the switch because it just has to happen. Los Angeles.
That had to be your number 1.
You pick L.A., Orange County, San Diego. I don't care.
Whatever you want.
Let's make it happen. Imagine if the pros played a Morley tournament. They would have to obviously make it into some sort of safari layout, but how fun would it be to watch pros play Morley?
Yep.
Shout out to Kevin, by the way, who I saw out at Morley last week or 2 weeks ago now. Southern California is basically the homeland of disc golf, and we don't play a tournament there. It's extremely stupid.
Yeah.
So I need them to fix that as soon as possible.
Great. I knew when we picked this category and assigned it to you, I was like, LA's got to be the top pick.
That's why I made a change. I had Salt Lake number 1, but
correct change.
Yeah. All right, Josh, let's talk about some players.
Okay.
Best backhand.
Ooh, okay. All right.
Who's, and you can interpret this how you want. Player that you think throws it the best, the one that you'd like to have the most, whatever.
Yeah. I'm gonna highlight different styles and kind of rank them by what I think is in terms of impressiveness for those styles. So number 5 spot, Hannah Blomroos. I know that she often gets overlooked due to her putting when it comes to overall rankings and such, but when it comes to her backhand and her backhand power, just raw power, she may be pound for pound one of the best throwers in disc golf. And it is so impressive to watch her at the USDGC distance competition and the kind of throws that she's able to pull out. Hannah deserves to be on this list, but I do have her. I've got her in the 5 spot. In the 4 spot, Calvin Heimberg. Calvin, relative to his division, is he throws far, but he's not the furthest thrower. What's impressive to Calvin is the golf lines that he's able to throw and the low ceiling shots that he's able to execute without having to really change his style. It means that he plays well on a lot of courses thanks to his ability to not require a lot of airspace to throw distance. And that is a talent that I think is maybe unique to him when it comes to top players on tour, and he deserves a lot of credit for that, which is why I include him in my top backhand list. 3 spot, the distance king, Anthony Barella. I think people could give me a hard time for having him in the 3 spot because his backhand is honestly something of legend in terms of how far he throws. I have my reasons though. I mean, he has to be on this list. Everyone knew he'd be on this list. I think people are would be a little bit surprised where he's at, but that is no fault of Anthony Barella, except that I feel that his skills and like the top of Anthony Barella is only limited to certain styles of courses, and that's why he's got to get knocked. Here's why. Number 2, Evelina Salonen. Evelina throws far like Anthony Barella does related to her division, except she can do it in the tightest of woods and still hit those gaps. It is remarkable the kind of lines that Evelina can take while still pushing distance that nobody else in the division, minus Henna, can even fathom to reach. And Henna can't do it in the woods like Evelina can. Evelina doesn't take any distance off in the woods. She combines the elite nature of her distance that Anthony Barella has with the ability to throw golf lines in the woods like Calvin has. She has to be higher. She has to be in my mind, and deserves all the credit in the world in terms of her division with how great her backhand is. But the number 1 spot goes to the gentleman himself, Isaac Robinson.
The archer.
Shaping a disc, I think, is more impressive than distance. And I know that I could, and defining yourself with an ability to shape shots that nobody would even think of throwing. And, you know, it is because he doesn't have a forehand, but boy, oh boy, does he make up for it and develop a skill that nobody else in the division has. James Conrad used to, and I don't think he plays at that level anymore, but Isaac Robinson is the top backhand thrower, bar none, any division, distance not required.
I really don't have too many quibbles. I really don't. Like, relative to divisions, I think you basically nailed it.
Thank you.
Henna maybe is too low, actually.
Possibly.
Henna as a pure backhand thrower might be better than Evelina.
The reason I highlight Evelina is because I think Evelina's gap hitting ability is better than Henna's.
Yeah. It's also hard to disentangle, like, when you watch Evelina just playing much better.
Right. And not the fact that I don't get to watch Henna play, right? Yeah.
How about I give you the best forehands?
I would love to hear the best forehands.
It's very interesting because if you asked this question like 3 or 4 years ago, you get a very different list.
Yes. So let me ask you, how active are the players on your list?
They are all highly active, which is to say that, like, people who are starting to be in the twilight who have great forehands, like Nate Sexton and Jeremy Colling, and the once upon a time Eagle McMahon, are not on my list. Okay. There's a case to be made that Eagle should still be on the list. For sure. I think he could get back on this list like that in 2025.
Pre-injury Eagle would have topped this list.
Oh, yeah.
Without
100%.
a doubt. Yeah.
Here is my current list.
Okay.
Number 5, Anthony Barella. Well, makes sense why AB is having a great year when he has on the top 5 for both backhand and forehand.
Is AB, this top forehand not including the beast hole 16?
Let him off the hook.
I'll never.
Yeah, I mean, just the power, the increasing precision. Like, if you really needed somebody to throw a forehand as far, like, really far for you, like, you probably pick AB.
Yeah.
So, I think some other players kind of like stand out more because the relative strength of their forehand is higher. But AB could arguably be number 1 on this list. It wouldn't be crazy.
Yeah.
Number 4, another appearance in my top 5 in a different category. Chris Clemens. He still has a top 5 forehand on tour.
Yeah.
Yes, he's not quite the player that he was a couple of years ago. He has to deal with the fact that he is a lefty, and that just kind of makes things harder in general. But truly throws. I mean, there were some moments on tour this year where he just threw some magnificent forehand shots. This actually just made me think of somebody who maybe I should have on my list, but is going to be just left out. I'll come back to my honorable mention.
Okay.
Number 3, Aaron Gossage.
The goose.
Thing of beauty.
Yeah, it is.
Nasty forehand. Just a pure elite forehand thrower. I mean, he basically has all the pieces besides the putting to be a tour champion. I think he's probably going to win one before it's all said and done.
I think
with his
so
career.
Too.
He'll
need 6 strokes, but
but yeah, we always think about him in terms of the baseball, and like that side of his body is like that is his elite weapon.
Yep.
Just a really great forehand thrower that people sometimes overlook, I think. Number 2, Kristen Tatar.
Oh,
I mean, again, obviously we're talking about relative to their division,
sure,
right? From a distance perspective, she's not going to hang in there with the other folks on this list. But Kristen's basically built a top 2 disc golf career in the sport out of having a killer forehand.
Yeah.
Absolute weapon. Approach shots, long distance throws, even putting at times. She just has the forehand at the highest possible level. In fact, I would say it's like the fact that it came off of just how incredible it was in 2023 is part of the reason she didn't have as good of a 2024. But she still was easily the best forehand thrower in the FPO division. It wasn't even close. Number 1 overall, though, and what a year it was for this man's forehand, Ricky Wysocki.
Yeah.
He's just a killer.
Uh-huh.
And he's just able to shape that shot, long distance throws. He can just take the optimal line on any hole because he is so skilled on both sides. But I think if you had to pick, like you might take his forehand over his backhand if you could only have one. So yeah, Ricky gets my top spot on the forehand charts.
That's a good pick.
Honorable mentions. Well, obviously Eagle, who maybe is being snubbed from this list.
Fair.
But Chandler Kramer. I know it was not his year in the same way that it was in 2023, but I still think about some of the forehands we saw him throw last year.
Yeah, that's a great point. Hard to include people on the list who we don't see play.
Yeah,
but does deserve credit because
he gets an honorable mention.
He does.
All right. How about we go to? I know Josh is chomping at the bit for this one. Disc golf pet peeves.
If you don't know what number 1 is here, then welcome to the show. We're glad to have you. But we'll get to that. The first 2 are ones that bug me when I'm playing disc golf. So number 5, talking in my backswing at a tournament. I do not care in casual rounds. Do whatever you want in casual rounds. But like during tournament play, when like people are quiet for some people, and then those same people go back and start like just chatting away while people are going up to throw. It just feels disrespectful, and it kind of bugs me. And even if at the end of the day we decided collectively, hey, we're going to that's not a thing anymore. We're going to talk. We're not going to worry. We're going to be a little more lively. Then that's fine. I think it's more like the idea that they know what the social convention is and they're choosing not to follow it. And that's what bugs me about that one. Smallest of the bunch though, because like I said, in casual rounds, I really just don't care. Number 4, players who use paper scorecards instead of PDGA Live without a valid reason, right? Some people are like, oh, my phone is, if their phone is actually dead or having issues, whatever. But there's no reason not to use a digital scorecard these days. And it's so nice because then at the end of the round, we just click sync and submit and we're done. And we don't have to sit there and check that person's paper scorecard while they put it in PDGA Live. That drives me crazy. No reason. There's no reason to do that. Don't do it. Number 3, this one is the smallest and most minute of my pet peeves, but I've just noticed it a couple of times on the Pro Tour, and every time I'm like, I just think this is so dumb. People who tap the basket after a putt. Again, minute. This one shouldn't bug me, but it's weird to me. I don't know why. But whatever. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's a pet peeve. Here comes my real legitimate ones, though, and I will stand by these until the day I die. Number 2, when commentators on live commentary call shots wrong. I get that it's going to happen once or twice, but the number of times you hear on live commentary, oh, this shot's going to be out of bounds, and then they hit the post underneath the basket, bugs me to no end. Be quiet. We know that the angles are not properly reflected on camera. We know that. You've done this long enough. You should know that. That's my number 2. Number 1, if you didn't know it, again, welcome to the pod. People who carry bags full of discs at TGPT events. I promise you, Paul Macbeth is not going to tap you in to come make a putt for him. You don't need the bag. Bring a bag that has some snacks, some water, 2 or 3 discs to sign, and leave the rest in your car for your post to go play around after you watch. It gets in the way. It has stopped shots. It has influenced tournaments. Put your dang discs away.
It literally has influenced tournaments, which is actually hilarious.
It has.
Oh, you set your bag down inbounds.
Oh.
Or right next to the line and use it as a backstop for a pro shot.
I thought about including spectators who get in the way of shots at tournaments, but that's not even a pet peeve. That's just like needs to stop happening. That's too much. That's disc golf jail qualifying. These are all just annoyances that I probably should just get over, but I never will.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We got 4 more categories and a 30-second rule right after this. The Upshot is presented by Pound Disc Golf, makers of the best bags in the sport. Got some new Octothorpe colorways dropping this week, Marine and Sage out right now. Also got some more fanny pack colors. And hey, how about this? Trash Panda ghost stamped a bunch of their discs with the Octagoat graphic from Pound. They've got stock of Ozone, Dune, and Inner Core discs in a couple of colors each, as well as Pound minis. So head over to pounddiscgolf.com and get yourself the finest bag in disc golf. Are you tired of being tired? Are you ready to get 8 hours of unbroken sleep? If you answered yes to either of those questions, today's sponsor may be able to help. Sunset Lake CBD is a hemp farm up in Vermont making CBD products designed to help you get better sleep. Sunset Lake tests every product for potency and purity and puts the results online for all to see. They'll even mail you a copy with your order. That includes all of their nighttime products. Sunset Lake carries gummies, tinctures, and soft gels designed to help you get to sleep gently and naturally. I used the Sunset Lake Sleep Gummies when I was heading out to Australia and back, and a little bit of melatonin in there plus the CBD helped me get to sleep, stay asleep, and get right through the jet lag. No issues, even if I had to rock the sunglasses sometimes on the pod. So check it out. If you're having trouble sleeping through the night, try out the Sunset Lake Sleep Gummies or their other sleep products, and get 20% off all orders. Just go to sunsetlakecbd.com and use code UPSHOT at checkout. Sleep sounds knowing that they stand behind their products. Sunset Lake CBD, farmer owned, Vermont grown. Welcome back to the Upshot. We continue with our top fives. We also have a quick 30-second rule, so we're going to get to that first. 30-second rule. We got 30 seconds to hit each topic. If we go over, it doesn't really matter unless you're Gannon Burr. Josh, take it away.
You know, Charlie, I think for the first time, we might keep everything to under 30 seconds. Pretty quick here. We have released the Disc Golf Pro Tour Q Series. This is the qualifying tournaments by which players can earn tour cards in order to be able to play on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. There are 5 events scheduled currently for the Q Series. Capital of Texas Open in Austin, Texas will be happening in May. The Beehive Classic is in June in Ogden, Utah again. Brewster Ridge Open is also in June in Vermont. The RIP Canadian Nationals is in September at Port Hope, Ontario, up in Canada, and then Mary Sunshine House Classic in Seneca, South Carolina, will be in October. So those are your events. As it was last year, if you play in multiple, you get opportunities to play in finals. They're going to do a slate of European Q Series, which will be approved at a later stage. And so that's the preliminary slate.
I love it. Some new names. They're moving it around, giving different regions an opportunity to compete. There will be more to come. I think the Q Series is a cool idea. It basically is an elevated A-tier stage, which I think is cool. It's a proving ground for some tournaments that maybe end up becoming Pro Tour events someday.
Yep, I think it's a good, and it doesn't require the attention that a Silver Series used to. So, but I like it a lot. Official 2025 rules have been announced. Those have been released. No real significant changes to what was previously discussed on our episode where we talked to Mike Sullivan with the PDGA. If you missed that episode, I highly recommend just go find that a couple weeks back. Go catch that interview, and you'll hear basically everything you need to about the rule changes that just came out. But those are now official and have been released.
PDGA has been on top of these rule changes, so off we go. Not much major changing this year.
And last but not least, Charlie, I need you to put your apron on because it's hot stove time.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Burn my fingers.
Conor O'Reilly has announced that he won't be returning to Lone Star. Well, perhaps one of a more minor movements. I think it signals the beginning of the offseason in terms of player contracts beginning to change. And number two, it might signal something about Lone Star. I mean, between the Chandler Kramer kind of debacle that happened earlier this year, and Emerson Keith left was one of the higher profile names. Conor O'Reilly, a former tour winner, also is now leaving and will not be coming back to Lone Star. Lots that you could probably read into this, but the Hot Stove Steven season is here.
Somebody in the Ulti-World Disc Golf Discord said, I have inside information, and this is going to be a way crazier off-season than anybody expected. And I'm like, are we going to do this every year? Now I just have to expect it. It's going to happen every year.
Yes.
I accept. This is what it is.
I will be going back and finding a clip when you did say that this is not going to be a crazy off season, and that's your prediction. Clip it. We're running it on repeat.
All right. That was 30-second rule. Let's get back to the list. I think it's my turn. So, Josh, what do you got for me?
All right, Charlie. We talked about some of my personal feelings about disc golf. I want to know, what skills would you like to add to your game?
All right. Sure. Okay, here we go. Number 5.
Okay.
I would like to have an actually dangerous jump putt. I'm a pretty good spin putter.
Okay.
I can knock down circle 2 putts from 50-ish feet sometimes. I'm not great, but sure. I'm good enough to feel like I'm going to make it sometimes.
Yeah.
Jump putting from 70, I might as well not even do it. I'm jump putting because it's a thing I'm supposed to do rather than being any good at it at all. So I'm a complete zero when it comes to jump putting. So I would actually like to be able to make that sometimes and make it a weapon.
Okay.
Maybe I should practice more. Interesting.
You have a course near you now.
That's true.
Sort of.
Near. Number 4. I would like to have a 350-foot forehand. I'm not asking too much.
No,
I just want to be able to attack a hole with a forehand that's a little bit longer and not feel like I'm always going to be in circle 2.
Yeah.
I just I have a decent forehand out to about 300.
Okay.
But I cannot throw further than that. So I don't know if I need to work on my form. I'm sure I do. Disc selection, a little of both. It's just I'm not quite pushing the distance enough. So,
what do you throw for your 300-foot forehands?
What do I throw? I'm usually throwing a fairway driver when I'm throwing forehand. I haven't found a distance driver that I really love that I can throw and get turn on.
Okay, so you are trying to like flip it up. You're not throwing.
I'm either throwing
cap
flat
wrap.
to fade, or I'm throwing a little bit of a flip up. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So like I'm throwing like an Undertaker.
Sure. Much more reasonable than I think what a lot of people throw.
TL sometimes.
Okay.
Anyway,
that takes some
I
touch.
just can't throw it far enough. It's gonna be a theme, Josh.
Okay,
I would like to have a 500-foot roller. Is that too much to ask? Really, if I'm being perfectly honest, I would just like to be able to throw a roller with any kind of consistency whatsoever.
I was about to ask you what your roller distance is. No, okay.
I'm only throwing roller when I'm like, this should be a roller, and then I throw it, and I'm like, well, I should have just thrown an air shot. Now I'm way out of the position.
Okay.
I'm just not a great roller thrower right now. It's just like something that I need to practice. Is 500 feet too much to ask for? Maybe, but
maybe.
It's a roller.
This is the skill. This is what you'd like to add. Be wishful here.
Straight hyzer flip, number 2. Straight hyzer flip to about 350 with a backhand.
Oh, that's reasonable. You
very
could get
reasonable.
To that. Yeah.
My problem is I'm not able to consistently get it up, get it to flat, and get it to fly straight, which obviously is a shot that you just simply have to have.
Sure.
Like I can throw a straightish mid-range pretty straight, or a putter pretty straight, but I can't throw it quite far enough for some of those longer, like tunnely holes. Yeah. So I would like to be able to flip up something and get it to go that far. I feel like I'm kind of like in between, where it's like if I pick a flippier disc, I end up getting too much turn on it. I need to have consistency of the release point and nose angle to actually lock that in. So I think from like a distance perspective, it's totally reasonable for me at my current arm speed, but I need to dial in the actual mechanics of that shot.
Yeah, makes sense.
Number 1, let me just throw a little farther with a backhand. Okay. Everybody wants this. I would like to throw 450.
That's I think the most reasonable goal for 99.9% of players.
I'm not going to be a professional disc golfer, but
I
would like to be able, I'm scratching 400 sometimes. I would like to I need to improve my form. There's no question. And so those are the things I'd like to add. Putting is not really on my list. Obviously everybody could get better at putting, but it's the best part of my game. Okay. If I'm locked in, I'm a pretty good putter. So nice. I need a lot more work. Remember, drive for dough.
That's right. It is.
Putt for show in disc golf.
It really is.
That's my list. You got what's your number 1, Josh?
The 350 forehand.
You too.
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with my backhand. And the thing is, like, when it's like end of the off season or towards the off season, like right now, I know I can't throw as far as I usually can, but I know the steps that I can always get back to like 425, 430 with consistency during like peak disc golf season. So I'm comfortable in my capacity to improve on my backhand. My forehand, I feel like I'm going to lose my arm every time I throw any semblance of a forehand. So yeah, forehand's top of my list as well.
All right, Josh, how about we did places we'd like to see Pro Tour events. How about courses, already existing courses that you believe should host a Pro Tour event?
This one's tough. There's a lot of good courses. All right. I have a few that are pretty easy locks for me. Number 5 spot, Caliber, which is up in northern Idaho. It's in the top 10 UDisc list. I get to play there. I always try and make at least one trip a year. It's a long ways away from me. It's almost 12 hours in the car, going through and stopping in Helena. And so it's a long drive. It's a long time, but these courses are just spectacular woods golf. And really is just absolutely gorgeous. And Paul does a great job up there. So kind of we'll say one that my local top tier course, Caliber, deserves to be on this list. It is absolutely, without a doubt, so far out of the way on the Pro Tour, though, that creates a little bit of a hang up. In the 4th spot, Hillcrest Farm at Prince Edward Island. They host some pretty, like, a big A tier here, and it is just what a spectacular course. It is gorgeous.
Yeah.
This is one, and I think this one, like, realistically could be on the Pro Tour. We have Pro Tour events in Europe. It's time to put a Pro Tour event in Canada. There's no reason that shouldn't be in there. I think you could incorporate that pretty easily into the tour. Hillcrest Farm, definitely a candidate, I think, for what should be on that list. Number 3 spot. This one might be cheating, and I'm fully aware of that, but I'm going to do it anyway. I wish we could have old school Yarva. I think it was a mistake that we never had a Pro Tour event at what Yarva used to be.
And the OG layout?
Yeah. I mean, I know it's still there, but it's not what it used to be. I don't personally know the differences. I just, from the descriptions, it's tough.
It's still awesome. You can have a Pro Tour course there, a tournament there now. It's the one European course I've played.
Oh, okay. All right. I think it was a miss. I think it was a miss. The fact that like the number 1 course in the world for years running never got a Pro Tour event. So
yeah, I was like, just like the timing was wrong.
I know.
You think 2018 Steve Dodge was ready to go to Yarva for a tournament?
Let's be real. He probably was. It's probably best he didn't, but he probably was ready to do it. The number 2 spot. The course of the Holy Shot deserves a Pro Tour event back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. The Fort needs a tournament. Utah Open used to be a Pro Tour event. It used to be a national tour event. It's hosted Worlds. There is no reason the Fort could not hold a Pro Tour event. I get that it's a course that is not, quite, I think, in terms of distance to the level of a lot of the courses that we play. But
so what?
It is hollowed ground now.
Yeah, and it's still a great wooded disc golf course.
It is.
I still remember some of the holes from that course.
Yes. It's so fun to play, too. Yeah, bring the Fort back.
I don't understand. I mean, I know what it really comes down to is it's like they need someone to run the tournaments in the various places. But like that tournament, if they held a 3-rounder at the Fort and it was whatever you want to call it. You want to call it Utah Open? You want to call it the, Fort Fiesta?
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like there would be fans.
Yeah.
And who wouldn't want to tune in to watch that again?
I know.
I mean, you do not need to show me that golf course layout again. No, thank you. But I would watch 3 rounds at the Fort.
I would watch 3 rounds at the Fort.
Bring it back.
Number one though. And this I think I've kind of mentioned this offhand, and it feels so weird for me to pick this as my number 1. Kona Beach Day, baby. Bring it back. As a Pro Tour event.
What a fraud.
It absolutely should not be a major. But listen, how many disc golf courses get to say that they are on the property of a literal castle? Franz Ferdinand's castle hosts a disc golf tournament. Come on. That is sick. And it's such a cool course.
It's cool.
It's gorgeous. It should not be a major. Eagles major is a soft major, but I want a Pro Tour event in Kona Beach Day.
It's beautiful there.
It is.
So you could put so many European courses on this list. I guess they're starting to check some of the boxes now that they're going over there more.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
All right. Speaking of courses, Charlie.
By the way, just really quick. Eagles Crossing?
I just have never been terrible. And it might be because of the events that have been run there, but I have never been blown away by Eagles Crossing. You're making fun of me right now. Oh.
No, I'm just...
Are you not?
I just thought you'd want to see some big money skins.
No. I was going to take this all serious because like it's a lot of money put into a course for a Pro Tour event.
No, but I am somewhat being serious. I feel like that tournament, that course could absolutely host a Pro Tour event. It
could. But here's the thing. I'm picking courses based on like the course. I mean, caliber, tons of logistical difficulties in trying to host a Pro Tour event.
Yeah.
I get that, right? But Central Coast did record it for the A tier this year. So anyway, go check it out. It's a great tournament to watch. All right. Charlie, speaking of tournaments.
Yeah.
I want you to rank your top 5 DGPT tournaments. Does not include the majors, because I think those kind of monopolize it sometimes. We chatted a little bit about this, so
I'm gonna give you 2 quick.
Okay.
I'm a rapid fire. We all know these tournaments. Number 5, how to represent Europe. Crocol Open.
Best European event.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Fun. Love the landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Just awesome overall.
And number one UDisc course in the world.
And some people are going to be like, oh, Estonian Disc Golf Festival. Stop. The course is no good.
It's not good enough.
I get that it's like professional, and I think it's fair to want to have tournaments happen there because of that. But the quality of the course is just not there. It's just not. Give me Crokel.
Okay.
Number 4, Idlewild. This is the crown jewel pure wooded tournament of the year.
Yep.
Number 3, Portland Open. The combination of location, courses, event quality, time of year, West Coast swing.
Yeah,
I just love it. It's great. And it's only getting better now that they're going to go to the Beaver State Fling combo, and we're going to get Worlds preview most likely. You know, we'll see. They haven't announced Worlds for the next year yet, but I think that's coming soon. I think we're going to get some
it should be
pretty soon info about 2026.
Yeah.
Number 2, Green Mountain Championships.
My number 1.
I get it. We knew this. But yeah, it's just tremendous pair of courses.
It is.
Number 1, MVP Open. Come on. I don't have to overthink this one. Maple Hill lived up to all of the expectations this year. The course is tremendous. They're making the course better.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It's the best course in the United States. It's not close. I just think it's a fantastic event. And, you know, it's no surprise that we go playoff events. I don't even care that they're designated as playoff events. It's just like those are getting extra weight because everyone understands, even at the top of the Pro Tour, that these are our best tournaments.
Yep. Spot on.
All right, Josh, let me ask you this. Where does a full strength Ledgestone go for you?
Probably in the 4 spot instead of Idlewild.
Wow.
And here's why. Listen, no. People conflate this. I love Ledgestone. I really do. But
okay.
But the segment that we talked about in terms of like all the that caused all I might put it above MVP. Like it probably actually it does. It goes Green Mountain Portland Ledgestone for me in a full strength Ledgestone. Okay. Here's why. Number 1, I've always said this. I will consistently say this. Tournaments on 2 courses are better.
Fair.
They're better. Number 2, I really, really enjoy Ledgestone. I love Ledgestone. I think that Ledgestone holds more importance as a tournament than Green Mountain Championships in Portland does. If you go the 4 majors for MPO, Ledgestone is the closest thing to a 5th major that we have. The money, the history, the difficulty, all of those things contribute to making it what I think the best reflection of players' skills on tour. However, Green Mountain Championship and Portland are more beautiful and better to watch. So depending on how you evaluate those, like if you do importance, tournaments I'd rather win, Ledgestone goes to the top. But like of tournaments I want to sit and watch, Green Mountain and Portland go above Ledgestone because they look so amazing on tour. And that is it. Portland Open with Beaver State Fling.
Got it. The new and improved.
The new and improved. Yes.
Okay. There's 2 categories left.
Yep.
Josh, give us your best plastics. Top 5.
I think this might be the one I have the strongest opinions about. I feel very strongly about plastic, and I am very particular about my plastic. Number 1 is Z Flex Discraft plastic. I think it is the best kind of like I especially throw my buzzes in this plastic. I think it gives good control, good grip. I'm not throwing the disc quite as hard or like on the same kind of lines that I'm throwing a driver, so I'm okay that it's a little bit softer and a little bit floppier. And so I prefer the consistency that I get from the grip over a little bit more like firmness in terms of like the structure of the plastic. It's a great plastic. I will say, except for the putter plastic, like the soft. I also have like a soft base plastic buzz. I dislike most other Discraft plastic. I think it's too slick. But Z-Flex is the exception to that for me. Number 4, Discmania Sea Glow plastic. It has all the stability of your normal Sea Blend with just amazing grip. It's excellent. And I like my PD in this plastic here because
Okay.
I need the stability, right? I need my PD to stay beefy, but I also, again, I play in Idaho. I need it to be grippy. Number 3, the Halo Star/Champ blends that they do now, where the rim is Halo and the inside is Star plastic or Champ plastic, is just top tier. It is. For a driver, I don't think there is better plastic out there. I have Wraiths. I carry 3 of them in this plastic. Again, this is all very personal. It's got great grip, great integrity, holds the stability really nicely. I think this is just excellent plastic for a driver. Best plastic for a driver, if you ask me. In the number 2 spot, I think it is the best plain premium plastic, so not without all the fancy, different blends. Proton plastic from MVP as just like an OG premium plastic is as good as it gets. It holds up so well. I love my pyro in this plastic. I have a couple. It wears in nicely but takes a long time. It is excellent. MVP has done a great thing with proton plastic. But my number 1 plastic, without a doubt in my mind, and if I could make every disc in my bag have at least one of them be in this plastic, I would in a heartbeat. I would make a throne out of tombs made in this plastic if this was a thing that I sat on while I did the Upshot. Castoplast K3 soft plastic. There's nothing better. It is the perfect blend of gummy but still like firm. I don't feel like the disc is like trying to flop out of my hand. It's what I putt with. It's what I throw my bergs in. This plastic is just incredible. I want a buzz in this plastic. I want 100 tombs in this plastic. I want a fairway driver in this plastic. It is incredible. Castoplast has done it. K3 soft plastic is the best plastic in the game.
All right. 1 category left.
Okay.
Here we go. Someone to putt for you if your life depended on it.
All right.
I decided not to specify a distance.
Okay. That's fine.
But
We spin a wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It
feel
could
like
be anywhere between 15 and 60 feet.
let's say that's the case. Yes.
Yeah. I would like to highlight for those at home, putting like your life depended on it. You want someone who can putt in pressure.
You cannot be a choker.
You cannot choke.
I don't think these players are.
Okay.
Here we go. Number 5.
Number 5.
Starting at the bottom.
All right.
Number 5, Matt Bell.
Okay.
Longtime legend putter. To be honest, I guess I don't know how well he putts when he's like really under pressure. It's been a while since he's been up at the top of the tournament. But look, a guy just has like rock solid mechanics.
Yeah.
He has been a statistically top 3 putter on tour for like 5 years at least, maybe 10 years. Number 4, number 1 Circle 1 putter on tour this year, Paul Ulibarri.
Oh, okay.
Now, if I'm getting a 60-footer, do I want Paul? Maybe not. But if I'm, playing the odds that I'm probably getting a Circle's edgy putt, the guy has been a killer. He's been the best of his career.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 3, how can you have a list like this and not include Owen Scoggins?
Yeah.
I know she was a little
dog.
shaky at the end of the year. And,
Doesn't matter.
but
not for your life, Charlie.
no, when it's like when Owen knows I got to make this to save this man's life, she's hitting the putt.
And then she's drinking a beer out of her trophy to celebrate.
I will buy her the 6-pack.
All right.
Number 2, Andrew Marweed.
Okay, yeah.
I'll get him a
Just
pack
any
of
range.
Chips Ahoy.
Yeah.
Look, you take your pick. Matt Bell, Andrew Marweed, or the player I'm about to name. Who is the best putter? I'm giving number 1 the nod because of the confidence,
Okay.
the clutch,
Okay.
and having seen it lately. James Proctor, number 1. You absolutely need somebody to make a putt. This man believes in his deepest bones that he's the best putter on planet Earth.
You're right.
Give me him to make the putt to save my life.
I think you have a glaring omission on your list.
Say it.
Ricky Wysocki.
I don't think so. Maybe I could put him at the bottom of my list.
Like, here's the thing. Ricky fell apart at the Pro Tour Championship and gave up the lead.
Yeah.
It was not his putter that gave it up, though.
I'm not saying he's not a great putter. I'm taking the purest putters on tour.
You're crazy.
I don't think so.
Clutchest putter.
Rick, yeah, he's clutch, but he's clutch in the sense that we see him at the top all the time making these putts. He's not a bad choice, don't get me wrong. He's right there with these top guys. But he's statistically worse in Circle 1 than Marweed and Bell. He's statistically worse in Circle 2, marginally so, to be clear, behind Proctor and Bell. I don't blame you for saying that, but he also has missed some critical putts. Of course, we see him all the time, so we're going to see him miss putts and make putts all the time.
I don't
blame you for including that.
Yeah. Ricky.
If it was really gun to my head, do I have him over Yuli? Yeah, maybe I do.
Yeah,
just because of his Circle 2 danger.
Yes, and it's just like I get that maybe statistically he's not.
I mean, you could put Gannon in this list too, right? Like
pressure.
The problem with Gannon is I'm worried he's going to putt so hard that it spits out and I'm dead.
That's what I'm worried about too.
What basket are we talking about here?
It's those Innova pop-up travel baskets. Gannon knocks it over.
All right. Well, those are our top fives. We're gonna do some more in our sub bonus. We're gonna let our Discord subscribers throw out things inside the top five, and then we will rank them.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get those categories going over in the Discord right after this, and we will record that later today or tomorrow. And then we'll also be back with you on Thursday. We're going to be talking with the now General Manager of North America for House of Discs, Seth Fendley, formerly of the Disc Golf Pro Tour, to talk about what's going on at House of Discs. How are they managing through this downturn and a lot of changeover in leadership at the organizations and the sub-brands, and what's next for House of Discs as they try to navigate through a little bit of a pullback in the disc golf market. So looking forward to just talking about that with Seth. So for Josh Mansfield, I'm Charlie Eisenhood saying so long. Don't get too stressed out today, folks. We vote in free and fair elections here in this country, and it's very awesome that we do that every 4 years. For Josh, I'm Charlie saying so long, and we will talk to you on Thursday right here on The Upshot.